found out how to sit my lap. I'll let you do a few bars intro, I think.
Eyes hold back the river so I can stop for a minute and see where you hide. Hold back the river, hold back. Won't you let us wander? Let us hold each other. Lonely water, lonely.
We
We've
just
got one
leave
more.
it though, because it's
No?
quite.
Yeah,
What do
we
you
do
think?
that at the end. No? Do it now.
I don't know. I think it's quite hard to do it now. So we just leave it. Just play some random things and I'll just sit here. Do it at the end then. I think do it at the end then, because everyone's quite chill. We might play.
Yeah.
This is so alive. So this is so alive. Sounds so much like you're playing. So alive, isn't it? Sounds nice. We've only got like 2 minutes. I don't know what song that. Oh, I've not got my glasses. I can't see. Glasses. No. Oh. I don't know. I feel like Sky's giving me the signal, but then I don't know. She's just. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
They
Which
don't.
one is it? Oh.
Keep going.
Yeah. Sky's just confusing.
Hello. Oh, I'm on. Great. Welcome to the Bay Volunteers Relaunch. Thank you for being with us today in person, or if you're watching online because you're not able to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to do a special welcome to the Right Worshipful, the Mayor of Lancaster, and Madam Mayoress. It's great to have you here, and other partners who are joining us as well. Some of those have not been able to join us, but have provided us with video, which is really great. And if you're part of the Bay Volunteers team, or if you're a volunteer here or watching online, that's fantastic as well. Or just anyone else who just come to support us or are watching because you're interested in volunteering or being part of us or support us in some way, that's fantastic. We're so glad that you have been able to join us today. Just a tiny bit of housekeeping. I guess you know where the fire exits are. They're quite clearly marked and you came in through one. And if you do need the toilets, they are just through here, or there's one by the door. Anyway, that's housekeeping over with. So I guess the idea of this session or presentation is just to hear from different people, to hear from our volunteers, from our service users, just to hear a bit of the story of Bay Volunteers. Also to hear, like I said, from those people who are involved in different capacities, but also we want to share kind of the vision for the future. You know, we were set up during COVID, and we'll come to that in a minute, but we want our service to be sustainable for the future. So I'm going to invite up for that. I'm going to invite up Yak Patel and Jamie Haxby, who'll come and introduce themselves, and we'll have a little chat about how we all started. Welcome, guys. Grab yourself a mic, a chair.
Thanks, Matt.
Do you want to go first, Jamie? Do you want to introduce yourself? What's your role? Who are you?
Thanks very much. So my name's Jamie, and I part of the team here at Hope Church, one of the pastors, and was involved at the very beginning, and it's a joy to work with Matt now as we move things into the future as well.
Yeah, good afternoon everyone. So my name is Yak Patel. I'm, by trade I've been a youth worker, a community worker in this great city. I've lived here all my life, but I'm now the Chief Executive of Lancaster District Community and Voluntary Solutions. Our role is to kind of support those people that support their communities. So we provide this kind of bridging infrastructure to charities and voluntary groups across Lancaster District, and you know, we provide services, things like provide funding and volunteering support, and we bring people together through communities via networks and partnerships. So great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I just realised I didn't introduce myself yet. I'm Matt Parker. I'm the Bay Volunteers Manager, but I do that part. So I run Bay Volunteers. Apologies for that. So if we want to tell this kind of story, so Jamie, do you want to start us off? Tell the story from a Hope Church point of view, how this all began.
That's right. Well, I guess it was 2 years ago, fairly recently, that the first pandemic hit us as a bit of a surprise, and in that moment I guess we suddenly realised that there would have been lots of people around who would have been self-isolating and finding it more difficult than usual to get out of the house and get a hold of basic things like prescriptions and shopping and so on and so forth. And one of the people in our congregation, a lady called Jo, she had this great idea. She was like, you know, it'd be great to put out a phone number online, and people can text in or phone in if they've got, you know, things they need picking up and sorting out and that kind of thing. So we put this phone number out there, and then we're just blown away by the response, both in terms of how many people just shared that original post. I think it was like seen by 90,000 people and shared, I don't know, a few hundred times, and then so it went viral for Lancaster anyway. and then we had loads of people that just wanted to volunteer. So we put together a Facebook group for people that wanted to say, yeah, I'd love to kind of help with this. And we had like 1,300 people join that Facebook group saying, yeah, I want to help and be a part of this. So then at that point, we were thinking, well, how do we, you know, what have we kind of got ourselves into here? how on earth do we kind of match these people that are really want to help out in this situation to other people who need some help and support? And so we didn't do anything. Tim over here is on his camera. He put together a system that would match people in a kind of very GDPR sensitive way. So basically volunteers, once they'd signed up, they've been DBS checked and got a reference, that kind of thing. They'd go onto a system whereby they could log in and then view on a screen jobs coming up, and it would say, you know, a gentleman in Bowerham needs help with his shopping by the end of the week, and that would be all the information you'd get. You'd then bid on that and say, yeah, I want to pick up that task. Then if approved by an administrator, you'd then get an automated text message that would tell you where to go, who to phone up, and all the details that you needed. And then when you finished, you could text back and say, yeah, it's been finished, and then it would be ticked off on the system. So Tim managed to basically put that whole thing together overnight, which is quite incredible. I don't know how he did it. Obviously didn't get much sleep. And then things went from there. I think from that point on it started to just really grow, and we were getting very excited that, you know, we were obviously there helping lots of people. And I guess at that point we'd kind of imagined, as the pandemic was rolling on and the kind of government response was ramping up as well, that at some point probably we'd take a bit of a step back and somebody else would take over that sort of knew what they were doing. That's kind of I think what we imagined would probably happen. So we were always very ready to, you know, stop or hand it over to somebody else. We didn't, you know, necessarily want to position ourselves as being the key players, but we were very happy to help and do whatever we can. But then I think it was around that time that Nyak gave me a phone call, didn't you? I remember.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably the first time I've met you guys.
In person.
In person, actually, yeah. We've spent the last two and a bit years meeting online. So, but yeah, very similar. And I kind of guess what the city kind of showed us was how many people actually wanted to come out and help. So one of our functions is we run a volunteer centre. We marry up people who want to volunteer in charities across this district. And when we put a call out, that we needed more volunteers, really the main emphasis to put volunteers into charities who were doing an incredible job when the pandemic started. We had about over 1,500 people just sign up within about 2 days. It was a phenomenal response, to be honest. And people that we don't normally recruit, so we had people that work in retail, in banks, in factories, engineers, people that work in our communities, people that live in our communities. It was just a really broad spectrum of people that kind of signed up, and but we had all these volunteers, and probably not enough work in the charity sector because, you know, the whole sort of furlough scheme and everything else. You know, we had probably more volunteers, surplus requirement. But to be honest, I seen the support line phone number in the post office, and I kind of thought, well, hang on, there's an opportunity to kind of support what these guys were doing. And it was a really quick phone call. Found out, went to the website, kind of seen this amazing website, and I just reached out, and and I think it was from that moment in fact, it's probably a good time to say I had no idea how he was going to help, other than there's something that we can do with the volunteers and actually provide more support. So it made absolute sense to us to work with citywide partners, you know, with the support line, and said, look, it's absolutely that we come together and work together. So gave Jamie a call, had a meeting, scratched my head for a little while, and said, I've got all these volunteers. But as time went on, we started to understand exactly where we sort of could support, and it was things around things like training or DBS checks or mentoring as well. There was a point where actually when you've got people visiting vulnerable people or people that you're supporting, that comes with a lot of mental sort of baggage, I'll say inverted commas, but you know, you are meeting people and experiencing situations and having conversations with people that have a lot going on. So it was really important that we create this infrastructure and support the support line. So that's how we kind of got involved.
Yeah. So you had kind of these meetings with partners. So there's obviously CVS, Hope Church, and then there was the council as well, and got involved. Do you want to tell us a bit about that, Jamie, and kind of how the link started with them, and you know what they were needing from us, really?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think it was Yak originally who put us in touch with somebody at the City Council. It might have been Jez to begin with.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. So we had a meeting with them to explain, and I think at that point the City Council were deciding what to do with referrals that were coming through their customer services. So they'd get people phoning up customer services at the City Council asking, for help with such and such, and they then approached us to say, could we basically be the main point of referral for people that were phoning into customer services, to be part of the kind of wider community hub that the City Council were putting together at the time. And then we worked with Emily Turbett at Customer Services particularly to put that together and set up a way for them to refer in and then keep track of the referrals that they made. And then eventually it kind of ended up being that the original phone number that we'd put out, which was just like a mobile phone that we've still got in the office, ended up sort of swapping to be the kind of the council's customer services phone number then was the main number that we used, and they kind of processed people through that initial phone conversation. So it was a great partnership because we had CVS working on the volunteer side of things. Mark from CVS particularly did a lot of our screening of volunteers as they're coming into the system, and then we had the City Council on the other side with vulnerable people, processing them and helping them access the system and be referred in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So one of our other key partners still, and at that early stage, was Sarah Baines, who's the development lead for Lancaster ICC. And she can't be here today. She's currently sunning herself abroad, but she has sent us a video to kind of share how she got involved. So let's roll that, guys. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Sarah Baines and I'm the Integrated Care Community Development Lead for Lancaster. So ICCs are a Morecambe Bay initiative, and there are 6 of them across the bay, ranging from Lancaster right up to Barrow and Millom. We're employed by Morecambe Bay Hospital Trust. Although we don't work in the hospital, we work very closely with them. We're very much aligned to the GP practices and work in the community with all the community groups, services, charities, churches and schools. So I work with a team of care coordinators and we visit people at home. We help people who've got multiple health and social needs or complex health and social needs. And if you're registered with a GP anywhere in Morecambe Bay, you will belong to an ICC, although you've probably never heard of us, and that's absolutely fine because our team kicks in when people have got those complex or multiple needs and just need a little bit of extra help and support. So we can refer and signpost to a number of different agencies, and it can be anything from a befriending service to the fire service to GPs. We can help coordinate appointments, we can help look at medications and sort them out. And we can also signpost people to community groups and community centres where there might be things going on that's of interest to them. And the reason we do this is to help people to live longer, better and healthier in the place of their choice, and also to prevent a lot of avoidable hospital admissions, because sometimes people come into hospital not for physical health reasons but for social health reasons as well. So I'm not quite sure when I first heard of Hope Church and the emergency response line, but I know it was very early on in the pandemic, and I know I was working with them very closely from mid-April 2020 onwards, and very quickly realised that what the Hope Church emergency response line and the volunteers were offering was going to very much help us in the NHS locally with the work that we were trying to do to keep people safe. So obviously it was a very, very difficult time for everybody. Everybody was really scared, everybody was worrying, but we had quite a very large cohort of people who were living with long-term respiratory conditions, which was obviously very worrying from a COVID perspective. We had a lot of people shielding for a number of different reasons. And because we're a very large geographical area, we have a lot of people that are living in some remote areas that are quite isolated. And they were possibly shielding as well, so just couldn't get out and couldn't get any support. We've also got a lot of people elderly living on their own. We had people who didn't have any close friends or family or any family at all. And we were really, really concerned about them. We normally go and visit people at home, but we couldn't do that initially when COVID first hit, so we were providing telephone support. And what Bay Volunteers and the Emergency Response Line did was offer us the opportunity to just check on some of these people. We were receiving referrals from the GPs and a number of different people about people they were concerned about, and we could refer them into Bay Volunteers to have their prescriptions collected, which was vital, to just get food in the house because a lot of the shops and supermarkets were not delivering or had shut down, and a lot of people were becoming very, very lonely and isolated. So we could refer, we had somewhere to refer into, which was just amazing for us because a lot of services had shut down or changed very much the way they were working. And we just didn't have anywhere to signpost people to get that support. So it was absolutely brilliant from the NHS perspective that we could do that for people that were most vulnerable that we were coming into contact with. But also Bay Volunteers and Hope Church helped us in a very different way, in that they were receiving referrals that weren't coming from us, from other people. And when they were visiting these people, they were seeing that they were struggling with lots of other things that needed just a little bit of an extra hand to help them support it or sort it. And these were people that we probably would never have seen even without the pandemic. And so what the Bay Volunteers were doing were referring those people with consent back into our team, the care coordination team, and we were then contacting them and supporting them with referrals and signposting into services that they might need. And then if we felt they needed a visit, we were actually going out and visiting some of these people that were most vulnerable. So I can't thank Hope Church, the Emergency Response Line, and now Bay Volunteers, as you know, anymore. They're absolutely amazing. We would have had nowhere to signpost people that were most vulnerable to. And thank you for referring people back into us that you felt were very vulnerable. We realised that this type of service didn't exist pre-pandemic and that there was a real need for it. And Bay Volunteers has given us the opportunity to continue to support the people that are most vulnerable in our community with collecting prescriptions, collecting shopping, befriending, in lots of different ways. And we're so grateful. I know that the NHS would not have coped locally through the pandemic if Bay Volunteers hadn't been supporting us. The hospital was short-staffed with people who had COVID themselves. There was wards being shut. There was people really poorly with COVID. And as we know, loneliness kills. And I truly believe that some of the people that Hope Church and Bay Volunteers supported, without that support, would have ended up in hospital where they probably didn't need to be. And could have ended up really, really poorly. And I'm absolutely convinced that Bay Volunteers and Hope Church have saved lives, and they've saved the NHS locally through what they've been doing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
That's great to hear from Sarah. So along with Sarah, there's we've been working with Bay ICC as well. So Angie Stokes is the development lead for that, and she's done us a video a little bit later on. She also can't be here. And we've just started to work with Carnforth ICC, so Emma Paul is the development lead up there as well. In fact, I met with the staff at Ash Tree Surgery yesterday, digitally. So that's really good. And you know, like Sarah said, she's been involved since the beginning, and she comes to our Tuesday partner meetings. But there's growing partners all the time. Lancaster University's Student Union, Kate's here today, joined us as well last year, wasn't it? As well, so we're getting new partnerships all the time, which is fantastic. Just to, I guess, to share in what we're doing and to work together to support the community. Just from you guys' point of view now, what's the involvement of Hope Church, and then to you, Jack, what's the involvement of CVS currently in Bay Volunteers? Go to you first, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I guess could just continue to work with Matt. Matt's based here and works in one of the offices upstairs, and I guess
/ youth room.
And I guess my job is supposed to be supervisor, isn't it, or something like that? Which Matt needs no supervision at all. It's like a force of nature, as some of you will know. But I'm here to support and encourage in any way that I possibly can, and throw out the odd crazy idea as well. So.
Yeah, and I guess, I am, although the money's not come from Hope Church for my role, I am employed by Hope Church, and it's Hope Church who started it, but we're very much in very strong partnership with the council, with the NHS, Lancaster University, and yourself, Jack. So how are CVS still involved now?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, yeah, just continuing to be a supportive partner in any way that we can. And I think we're starting to sort of formulate some concrete sort of plans, I think, by the sounds of it. And anything from training, you know, providing sort of mentoring, providing some of that kind of infrastructure so people feel safe to go out and volunteer, to signpost volunteers, to have, you know, to really engage with our communities. It's really important that we actually listen deeply to our communities and people that are living around this district. Opportunities to work with young people as well. I think there's massive opportunities to kind of really support the young people sort of element in terms of interacting with this and people with lived experience as well. You know, from my perspective, I started off as a volunteer, God, you know, probably about 30 years ago, and I'm still giving my time, and the benefits that it's given me, you know, to where I am now, it's been enormous. And I think the benefits to people who give their time and how we can actually support them, encourage them, recruit more volunteers, but more importantly, really understand what our communities need. So I'd like to think that I can really connect, you know, people that live in our communities with this kind of partnership. And I have to say, maybe for like 20 years, I've always dreamt of this partnership where we bring together people that work in our universities, businesses, you know, work in the voluntary sector, our local authority colleagues. Something that I've kind of always wanted to do, and bring together people from all these different partnerships. And I think we can achieve something amazing and actually a real caring, compassionate city, you know, through Bay volunteers, really. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to continuing to support this initiative, really.
Yeah, so Mark from CVS comes to our Tuesday meetings, and I guess he works even closer with us, which is fantastic. And so it's great to, you know, work with yourselves. And you mentioned youth there as well, and getting younger people involved. So we've had a few students sign up since the turn of the year, linking up more with Kate and with her colleague Patrick. And then we've just recruited some volunteers from LGGS, which is just down the road as well, which is fantastic. And, you know, I guess they're girls that actually want to really volunteer, but also they need it for uni applications. So it kills two birds with one stone. And the school are really keen on that kind of volunteering, obviously with a little bit more safeguarding in place. But, you know, so that's, you know, we're looking at how we can, yeah, like you say, bring on the youth more to support those. And it builds connections with different generations as well, which is really important and really valuable as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, as we move forward from the pandemic, it kind of feels like it's all over, doesn't it? And it really isn't. You know, it's. I think we're probably sort of tipping the iceberg in terms of how people have been affected by the pandemic, and actually, you know, I sort of remember stories when I was kind of mentoring a couple of the volunteers through the support line, and at the end of the day, they were kind of saying, do you know what? I've had such a good conversation with someone who was so isolated and so lonely that it's been the first person they've spoken to. And I think there's so much more for that, I think. You know, it's so much more need for volunteers to be giving that kind of real support to people that are vulnerable in our communities.
Yeah. So just kind of to close this section. No, it's okay. No, it's great. Yeah, go off piece. It's fine.
If you singing in a minute.
It'd be great if you could both just kind of share just very quickly what's most encouraged you or really pleased you about, you know, maybe the partnership or Bay Volunteers in general over these past 2 years. Maybe Jack, come to you first.
The leadership and from Hope Church and the team at Hope Church. I think you did an amazing job, and the tech was pretty superb actually. So I'd really like to thank you guys for letting us come in to your partnership, into your lives really. I think you know, it's been a real pleasure to be working with you guys, and like I said before, just really kind of listening to the volunteers that are coming back saying how much they enjoyed it and how much they benefited, and more importantly, the people that they were supporting got the support they needed. And you really can't put money on that. You know, you can't put a value on that. So, yeah.
Yeah, great.
I mean, I'll just pick up on what Jack was saying previously. You know that it's just great working with others in partnership, and I think we know that instinctively, don't we? That we're stronger when we're not on our own. And I think from a church point of view, you know, that's so exciting for us. We want to be working in partnership with as many as we can in the city to build, as Jack was saying, I think a culture of kindness and care and compassion in our city, and for that to become embedded in the culture is something that benefits us all. So, you know, to see that in some way starting to take root and growing and flourishing is really exciting. And yeah,
great. Thank you, guys. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Thank you very much, guys.
Time for a selfie.
I'll take that. Just next, what I want to do is I want to kind of share. I phoned up some of our service users, some of those who've been using our service, maybe could be up to 2 years, just to kind of hear their feedback. As you can imagine, they didn't want to go on video, and that'd be quite hard to do anyway. But I gave them a phone call and recorded some of their responses, which you'll see on the screen. So I think it'd be really good to hear them now. And I guess that's only possible because of our wonderful volunteers as well. So yeah, let's play that video. Thank you, guys.
Well, to be honest, I can put it in very few words. It's been an absolute lifesaver. It's as simple as that. It's a lifeline for us. If it hadn't have been for Carol, I don't know what I'd have done. So it has really made a difference compared to when she first started. It was just telephone calls. She was very, very helpful. And then I had somebody doing the shopping for me each week as well. It was a lad at first, and he was very good. Same Carol has been very, very helpful. She's helped me with photograph albums. She sent them in the post. So, as I say, she did loads of things like that, helped me. She even came through last summer a few times, and she brought some bits of things for us, and she even made some food because I was going into hospital. She even made some food and that for us so that we could have eating meals out of the freezer.
Well, she's been a big help. My wife says to shout it across, wonderful. We've really been grateful for that service.
At first, you know, when they suggested it, I was a bit, I don't know. But quite honestly, it's been a bit of a godsend because you chat about anything. I've found it helpful, and it's helped me as well, especially if I've been struggling. I've always been very confident. Well, I thought I was a confident person. But after the 12-week lockdown and couldn't see the grandkids and anything, it really affected me, and I was struggling. So, yes, I found it very helpful.
She's been a great help. She phoned me all through lockdown, and she still phones me, and we just have a little chat. And it does help having just, you know, someone to ring you up and say hello. It's just nice. We talk about our families, and it's just someone to talk to.
She's made a big difference. She's very kind. At Christmas, I can't write anymore. My handwriting's gone. She wrote all my Christmas cards for me. She's brilliant.
It has an impact. You sort of enjoy talking to Dave. I think he's enjoyed talking to me. You know, so we usually get a bit of banter going. When you don't talk to anybody for a long time, you sort of. It's nice. And I think we talked about everything, you know, so we sorted the world out. It's been a good experience, yeah.
Oh, a big difference. It makes all the difference to me.
because I'm handicapped. I can't get to the store myself. I can't even get across to the co-op now. So I mean, Yvonne to me is invaluable, and she's so efficient. I couldn't have anybody better. She goes out of her way to get the things that I want. If they're not in one store, she'll go somewhere else. She really is good. And if I want any phone numbers, what I call a magic phone, she'll get help. You know, if I want someone to replace a slate on my roof or anything like that, she'll try and get someone. Well, very positive. I couldn't have done without her. I still can't do without her. She rings me every week. She's brilliant, and she's still ringing us today. You know, she rings every week without fail. Such a lovely, lovely lady. I can say anything to her, you know, and she listens to it really, really good. I couldn't thank her enough, I'm afraid. She's so nice. It's nice to have someone to phone up, you know, nice to speak to someone, yeah, that's great. Because I've got no one really I've got my friends when they come around once a week, and the other friends come around once a week, but that's it. I've got no one at weekends. So when Christine rings, probably bore her stupid, but it's nice to hear from her.
Yeah. And that's just, I think that's like 9 or 10 of our users. There's many, many more who've it's had such an impact on their life. Similar stories from them, and it's just amazing what our volunteers have been doing. We're just going to now watch a short video from Sarah Baines again, shorter than before, just to share about the health and inequalities in the area and just kind of the need for Bay volunteers going forward. So let's run that, guys. Thank you.
I just wanted to give you a very brief overview of the health profile of our district. So the first slide shows the integrated care communities broken down by geographical area right across Morecambe Bay. The second slide shows the concentration of elderly people that are living in our rural areas, and the darker the colour, the more people living in those particular areas who are elderly. The next slide shows the concentration of people that are living with 4 or more long-term conditions. So that can be heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, diabetes. And the next slide shows the number of people that are living with what we call frailty. And frailty can be made up of things like age and different health conditions. And then the last 2 slides are concentrations of people that are living with asthma and COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And I've particularly picked those 2 long-term conditions because COVID, as we know, really affected the respiratory system. So it's important to know how many people we're actually looking at who were, during the pandemic, shielding for the best part of 12 months, couldn't go out, couldn't do shopping, couldn't collect their own prescriptions. And they're the very people that Bay volunteers have helped to manage over the last 12 to 24 months, really. Without you, they would not have been able to get their medications that they so desperately need for their health conditions. So thank you.
There is such a need still in our district for well, not just for those things that Sarah said there, but just in general in the care community. There's so many people that are found week on week that just weren't known about and need care and support. And what I'd like to do now is to invite up Anne Cox from Bay Medical Group, and she's just going to share shortly with us. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Anne Cox. I work at Morecambe Bay for integrated care communities. I'm a care coordinator, non-clinical. Means I don't do anything medical. It's all like social, I go out into the community and see people in their own homes and identify needs. And like I think Sarah said, there's lots of complexity and people with lots of multi issues going on at the same time. Through my job, I refer people on to other agencies or I signpost them. But what I've actually found, and I think the coronavirus has done this, is identified loneliness and how much people struggle. And that was an invisible reality for old people who are living on their own. So it has always existed, but now it's given them the opportunity. And I'd just like to say there's just two scenarios I'm going to give you very quickly, because it's the small things that make the difference. It's one gentleman which I saw, he wasn't able to just walk outside. He was on his own, no family. And what he wanted was just to be able to walk outside his front door. I think for him to be able to walk 20 yards, 10 yards up the road and back was a challenge, but he needed somebody to be there for him. And Bay Volunteers do provide. And to do that with this man once a week was opening his world. So the next one is many people end up with some kind of dementia into their later years. And the first things for a diagnosis to happen, a blood test needs to be taken to assess whether that person has anything medically wrong with them. Now, to get somebody who may have dementia into a clinical setting for that blood test is virtually impossible. They do need somebody to get them, to take them there. And being able to do that for somebody makes such a difference to how they can be treated and move on forward with their independence and a healthier life. So thank you very much. You're a star.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. So yeah, Anne works with Angie, who I mentioned, who's the development lead for Bay ICC, and we're going to hear from her now. I apologise slightly. She did video outside with there's a bit of wind, so I tried to make the audio as good as possible, just to hear from her really, and to hear her experience and link with us. So thank you, guys.
It's Angie Stokes. I am the development lead from Bay Integrated Care Community. Matt asked me if I'd be part of the launch event today, and unfortunately I can't be here in person. He asked me to talk a little bit around why we got involved with Bay Volunteers and the impact that Bay Volunteers have had in our community, and it got me thinking about the reason that I couldn't be here today. So my husband has arranged a surprise trip. So today is my birthday. It's a surprise trip that he didn't need to arrange, and it's to go down to Liverpool to see my daughter who's at university there and spend some time with her and my mother-in-law. It made me think of how lucky and privileged I am to have people around me and the connections that I have with my community and with my family, and how much richer my life is because of those. It made me think about my privilege and the fact that I'm aware of it, but I also know that within our communities there are people who go days, weeks, sometimes longer without having contact with another human being. People who can't leave their houses to go to the shops. I'm going to stop off and get some groceries, some supplies for the weekend, and I take that for granted that that's something I'm going to be able to do. There are people who can't get out and about. They want to go to groups, but they can't leave their own homes because they've got mobility issues. And then that brought me back to why we got involved with Bay Volunteers. Over the pandemic, Bay Volunteers have provided valuable support to vulnerable people within our communities, and they continue to do so. I'm deeply humbled by the time, by the energy and the commitment that the Bay volunteers give completely voluntarily. There is no personal reward for everything that they do, but what they do is they help provide those community connections. It's really easy for us to go about our daily lives. You know, I drive to work, I go home, I drive past houses and I pass people by who are experiencing very different lives than myself. And volunteering is an example of how people are really good humans. They understand and they put before their own needs the needs of others to offer that little bit of time and that bit of support. And the thing about Bay volunteers is what seems like a little thing for maybe you or I, for the people that the volunteers support, it has an absolutely huge impact and adds richness and joy to people's lives. So that is all from me. I'm looking forward to working with Bay volunteers in the future. And again, I extend my absolute sincere and humble thanks to the Bay volunteers, people who volunteered over the pandemic, people who are currently volunteering, and also the volunteers in the future to help keep our communities connected and supported. Thank you all very much and enjoy the relaunch.
Oh, great. And you know, what I'll do in a moment is kind of share the vision for the future of that, where we're at now, where we want to go moving forward as Bay volunteers. As we've said, you know, we want to be sustainable going into the future, not just a flash in the pan for COVID. So I'm going to share some of that in a moment, but I thought it was really important that we hear from some of our actual volunteers who sent us in just some short video clips just of their experiences, and you've probably read some of them over there. If you haven't, go and read them after, of their experiences being a volunteer. But yeah, I thought we'd just, there's some of them who are willing to go on camera and send that in to us, so I thought it'd be good to hear from them as well. Thank you, guys.
Hello, I'm Christine. I joined the support line soon after it started, right at the beginning of the pandemic. I really just wanted to do something to help. I think we were all a bit anxious then. I've really got a lot out of volunteering. It's been really nice to know that I've made a difference to people who were on their own and lonely. The downside is it's made me realise just how many people there are out there who are vulnerable and lonely. But then I'm also really proud to live in Lancaster when the volunteer line has been reaching so many people. So I'm really proud of that.
The people I talk to, I've been speaking to for at least 18 months. My support to them has been absolute nothing compared to their support for me. Although we haven't met, they're really lovely friends. It's been so worthwhile.
My name's Tina. I've been a volunteer with Bay Volunteers for about 18 months now. For me, it was a great way to, as an introduction to retirement. So I retired a bit before that and was looking for something just to do, just getting used to retirement. So I've been volunteering in all sorts of capacities. I've taken people to their vaccinations at the university and at Morecambe. I do a bit of shopping for a few people. I do picking up prescriptions. I've done a few things, but for me it's just been great. It's been a nice way to transition from work to retirement and to meet lots of people, and I've made some really good friends. Some of the people I shop for are real characters, and I have a great time. Sometimes it's got its challenges, but mainly it's been really good and something I'd highly recommend and have done to several of my friends.
My name's Carol. I've been volunteering with Bay Volunteers, or the Lancaster District Support Line as we used to know it, since March 2020, and I started with my first 2 ladies in April that year. I continued with one until December 2020, and I have continued with the other one until now, and we don't intend to stop anytime soon. We have a telephone call on a very regular basis. I went to meet her for the first time last August. That was 2021. Beg your pardon, that was April. And the last time I saw her was in August, because at the moment I'm not able to meet people. So we continue to talk on the telephone on a very regular basis. I have tried to be there to support her through. I think it's been really helpful for her. I hope it's very helpful for her, and it's been very nice for me too. And I think we've made friends, and we will continue to be friends probably forever. So I would recommend it to anybody who fancies helping somebody out. It's never quite what you think, it's not necessarily what you expect, and you do what you can. I think it's good for both parties.
Yeah, and it is amazing work that what our volunteers do. I know there's some here at the church who did it for a time and were able to do it for a time. Maybe can no longer do it. Everyone pitching in. And we do actually have a couple of current volunteers in the building as well. There's Charlotte and Christine over there, who I'm sure could tell you about their experiences of volunteering for what was Lancaster District Support Line, now Bay Volunteers. So if you want to hear a personal story from them, I'm sure they'd be happy to share with you as well after. So, Bay Volunteers, where are we at right now? So I guess having loads of volunteers over lockdown, like Yak said, there were just tons of people who were willing to volunteer, loads of people furloughed, we were able to meet a lot of need very quickly. But as you can imagine, a lot of people going back to work are unable to do as much as they were doing before, or some people have had to stop altogether just because of life circumstances and going back to maybe full-time life, as it were. So I've been, since I started in my role in January, trying to work out, who have we still got as volunteers, and do we need to recruit? The answer is yes. But we still have 67 volunteers currently. Some of those have started new since January. So we had about just over 50 in January. So we have gained some since. And like I said, we have got some that are coming through from the Girls' Grammar School, some students from the unit, and a few other people as well, which is really great. Sometimes, obviously, DBS checks take a while to come through. But we're fulfilling around 60 reoccurring tasks each week. So that's 60 people being helped almost every week. Some of those are maybe every 2 weeks. And we're getting new tasks every day from our partners that we've mentioned today, but also people like Age UK from Egg Cup, anyone else who can't meet a need and needs some help with it, and it's something that we offer. We're continually finding new partnerships because there's so many people that need help, and we do have quite a few volunteers. But yeah, therefore though, we need more volunteers, and because we want to be able to meet all this need that we're finding. And I know the council in the next few months are going to be going out more into community and chatting to people, so that I'm sure they're bound to find more people who've still not been touched with the help that they need. And so we really do need more volunteers as much as we can. I guess what's next? I mean, we currently offer shopping, prescription pickups, parcels and post delivery and pickups, listening calls. Some of those have turned into listening walks, obviously with COVID being a bit less, and a bit of patient transport as well. But one thing we do want to really start to do in about a month's time, we're going to be launching, or just over a month, is digital buddies. So what that looks like is helping someone with their digital needs. And our aim is to do that, particularly on doorsteps, like we're doing already with our prescription pickups, our shopping, our listening walks. And originally that came about because of, I think it was mentioned by Mark from CVS about just the digital need in the district, but also Sarah Baines from the ICC mentioned the need for people to get on the NHS app to get prescriptions, to book appointments. And so that's where we're going to start. They're going to train some of our volunteers who want to do this on the app, so they can go and help people on their doorsteps. I know Age UK are putting on some sessions for people to go there to be trained, but some people can't get there. And so we want to offer that service on the doorstep, and we're hoping that will help us to recruit a different kind of volunteer as well, who maybe just want to do that kind of task. But we see that as a real need, not just for the app, but just digitally. I guess it's across the nation, really, as everything's gone even more digital. People to connect with family over WhatsApp or Zoom, whether that's to have an email address or how to search safely online. how to update your computer, worrying that you're maybe going to lose everything on your computer. I don't know, there's loads of concerns that people have digitally, and it just disconnects people and it makes them feel isolated. And we want to try to meet that need and to continue to support those who are elderly, vulnerable, housebound and isolated in this way in the communities. Just before we kind of come towards a close, I just thought I'd play some footage from a couple of people from the council. So Jez, who I think Yak mentioned, and Jamie Murphy, who's a community connector who we personally work with, every week and comes to our partnership meetings. Thanks, guys.
At the very outset of the pandemic, the team put together and implemented a highly innovative and effective online solution for connecting volunteers with support where it's most needed. What's been really great about working with the support line team has been their open and inclusive partnership approach. It's been a real team effort across different organisations and groups.
We need to harness the amazing power and energy that volunteers demonstrated during the pandemic.
And we felt that there's a potential that volunteering could make a real difference in our district in the years to come. We'd love for you to be part of that conversation, and we'd love for you to help us shape what that might look like. And we think volunteering has got the opportunity to contribute to tackling some of the challenges and inequalities in our district, whether that's environmental, economic or social. We'd love for you to get in touch with your thoughts and your queries and to join that discussion into the future. So please do get in touch, and we look forward to hearing from you.
That's why we have that stall over there as well. If you've got any ideas or any inputs on what we do and how we can maybe do it better, we can strengthen what we do, then we're always welcome to. We always welcome hearing more of your ideas and more of your thoughts on what we do, because we've got so many partnerships already, but we just want to create more. We want to find out how we can do what we do better, how we can maybe support volunteers better, how we can meet these people who are lonely, housebound, and vulnerable better in our community. So whether you're here in person or whether you're watching online, you can put something in the comments and we'll see that as well. Or whether you're watching later as well, we'd love to hear from you and hear from the different inputs that you have. It's really valuable for us to not just be on our own. We really want to include the whole community of people, and we're so grateful that there are so many wonderful connections that we already have, because what we do currently and what we have been able to do, we've only been able to do because of those connections that we have had. Just before I kind of close us off with kind of next steps, I didn't know if anyone in the room had any kind of questions that they wanted to ask me about the support line or about Bay Volunteers, or if you're online you can put in a question and that'll get to me at some point. If not, that's fine. You can always contact me later, but if anyone has a question, you can put your hand up and I'll get someone to run around with the mic, or a comment. That's fine. There might not be any, that's absolutely fine. We've covered a lot. Yeah, I'll see if any coming from line. That's absolutely fine. I guess the next steps from my point of view and from our point of view is that whether you're here or whether you're watching online, you might want to volunteer with us. Now, volunteering is completely in your hands. You decide how much you volunteer, when you volunteer. You don't have to sign up to a certain amount of hours per week. It's completely up to you what you choose to do, what tasks you choose to do. So if you don't like doing people shopping, don't do that. Do some of the other tasks. If you don't like ringing people up, well, do one of the other different tasks. You choose what tasks you want to do, what you can do, and you control when you do those tasks, as long as they're not an urgent one. And so that we think that's really important, because some people we recognise maybe go away for a couple of months and can't volunteer all the time, or can only give an hour a week, 2 hours a week to do one request. That's also great, because you're still supporting one person in need, and that's fantastic. So if you're watching now, you're here now, or you're watching later, you can sign up to volunteers. All the details on our social media. You can contact me. The link is over there as well. to sign up with the QR code as well if you want to. If you want to kind of support us more or to partner with us more, if you put my email address up, that'd be great, guys. So Bay Volunteers Manager at hopelancaster.co.uk, or you can contact us other ways too. But yeah, if you want to email me, drop me a line. If you want to chat more, if you're watching and you think, do you know what, I think we should connect up. You offer something similar. Let's work together. Then we'd love to work with others in the Lancaster district. Like I said as well, we do have a website. We mentioned that earlier, so you can check out more information about us on our website. Although I guess if you've watched this, you've heard a lot of it already, but there's just a little bit more on there if you want somewhere to go back to or to point people into the direction of being a part of us, partnering with us, volunteering for us. And we are as well on all social media, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Although I'm not a pro on TikTok, get someone else to do that mostly. But we're on them all, so you can engage with that. If you want to follow us, you can share some of our things on there. It really helps us to put the word out there, not only to find volunteers, but to find need in the community as well. So yeah, please do partner with us, please do follow us, and please keep in touch with what we're doing. And if anyone wants to link up in any sort of way, we would love to do that. Yeah, and just as well, just to kind of for today and for what's going on, I'd just like to, I guess, thank lots of people. Thank you so much to you guys for coming. Thank you for if you're watching online right now or later as well. Thank you so much to our partners for all that you've done to support us in helping us to keep going and to build this service and to support people. Thank you to our wonderful volunteers as well who work tirelessly each week to support people. If we can have the picture of the core team as well, Skylar. This is our current core team. These guys volunteer. You'll have seen Tina earlier and Tim's on camera here. So Tim's our software administrator with myself. Who helps us to sort all things out, and particularly does things that I can't do. And then Tim Ellis, he's been involved for a while as well. He used to do a lot of triage, so that's matching people up with their tasks. And he still does some of that and helps some of the, I guess they're both techie Tims. This one is officially, Tim Morris is known as Techie Tim, but they're both technically Techie Tims. Maybe it's the name, it means you've got to be good at tech. And then Abby Andrews does a lot of communication. And we've also had Gracie from our church who's been doing a lot recently and may join a bit more permanently. She's been doing a fantastic job, particularly the last few weeks. And then Tina Bateman, who you saw, so she's a volunteer who does a lot of different tasks, but she's also supported people in how to do certain tasks. And she came with me to share with the girls at Lancaster Girls Grammar School as well, just to tell the girls what it's like on the ground, volunteering day in, day out. Because although I've done some of the types of tasks, she's doing it a lot more than me. Thank you also as well to our tech guys and those that have done refreshments and have just helped in any sort of way to steward or to put this together. And thanks to Jamie for putting up with my messaging and my graphics incompetence questions when I need him to help me, or tech things as well. But yeah, just anyone else that I've missed as well, thank you so much. Although I'm employed in the role, there's no way I could do it all on my own, and there's so many other people that are involved and are doing such an amazing work, and we're so grateful to each one of them. And I'm going to mention my wife as well, because she did a lot of running around yesterday with getting food and other stuff. So my wife Amy, and she's here taking photos as well today. So, but yeah, just thank you to everyone. There will be some cakes coming out in a second, homemade cakes, and there's hot drinks as well, or you can have another cold one if you want as well. And thank you as well to Jack and Faye, who did our lovely music for us at the start, and who will continue. You can come up now, guys, and you can continue just to play as well for us. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. If you want to chat to me afterwards, you can. I'll go and check on those cakes. I'm sure they'll be out in a second. And just thank you so much for your time today, guys. Thank you for watching online as well, and whether you're watching it now or later, we really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.